Well, hello scouting families and 4-Hers and anybody else that happens across this video. This is going to be the first in a series of STEM videos that we're going to be putting together for our normal STEM nights. Now that we're moving everything virtual, what we're going to do is have a couple of experiments each week or each month, and then we're going to get together on a Zoom meeting and talk about how the experiments went, what went right, what went horrifically wrong, talk about if we enjoyed doing it, and just have a chance to get together and discuss our findings. So this first one that we're going to be doing, the first experiment here, is we're going to be replicating the water cycle in a Ziploc bag. Okay, so we've got our Ziploc bag, we've got some water, and we've got some food coloring drops. Okay, so hopefully this is something that everybody can have right at their home and not have to go out and get anything. The food coloring is only needed to kind of help demonstrate some of the rain droplets that are going to be in the bag. I think you could successfully do this experiment with just water, but the blue food coloring makes it a little more interesting. So we've got our bag here, and we're going to go ahead and draw it up a little bit. We got our water down here, okay, and hopefully your water looks better than mine here. We've got our sun in the corner, okay, and maybe a little rain cloud over here. I'm going to fill it in a little bit, make it look like it's actually a rain cloud. Okay. Alright, you can make a couple of your own little dots of rain, but that's what the water is actually going to be doing for us here. So, I want to make sure that we've got everything in our view here. We've got our water. We're going to add a couple of food coloring drops. Okay, I think that looks pretty cool how it mixes around in there. Alright. Yes, I still have the ugly white tile counter. That's one of the things my wife keeps bugging me to replace in this house. Alright, so we're going to give that a little stir. And then we are going to open up our bag. Give it a quick blow, make sure it's not going to, the permanent marker is all dried. Pour in our water. Okay. And I did a pretty good job of making sure my water line was about where it's going to be. Amount of water isn't all that huge of a deal, but we want to make sure that we've got a little bit of air in here when we seal it up, so maybe just blow in there a little bit. Alright, now this is a gallon size bag. Oops, I'm not actually in the video here. This is a gallon size bag. You could probably get away with doing this with all the way down to a sandwich bag, but now what we're going to go ahead and do is tape this up in a window that's going to get some sunlight. And what's going to happen is inside the bag, the water's going to evaporate because of the heat of having the sun beat into it. It's going to come up to the top here, form some water vapor, and then it's going to condensate into little droplets that run down the side of the bag back into the pool of water. So you'll be able to see the entire water cycle right here in this little bag. Okay, now we have chosen a window that's on the south side of our house because it's going to get sun all day long. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our water so it's getting balanced on the edge of the window here, and I'll go ahead and, whoops, there it goes falling down. That's one of the reasons why we want to make sure that this thing gets sealed up tight. First off, we don't want to have that water vapor escape. Second off, we don't want to end up making a mess in our parents' windowsill. That'll get us in trouble. So, we're going to balance it on the windowsill and go ahead and just tape it up so that most of the bag is in the window, but the weight is being supported on the windowsill. Okay, so we're just going to put a Piece of tape on each side, maybe one in the middle for good measure. And now we're ready to go ahead and let that sit. It's going to start warming up. You can already start to see some water vapor forming in there. And you could see from it splashing around some of the drops that are on the side. That's why we put the food coloring in there. That's just going to help us to see the water vapor. And then we'll go ahead and film our results here in a little bit. So while we are waiting for the water vapor to start forming in our water cycle bag, I wanted to give everybody a quick view of good old Spanish Springs Elementary. The grass, without all the kids playing on it, it's definitely greening up here pretty quickly. We're getting a bunch of dandelions over there though, because there aren't kids over there picking them like they normally would be. But everything is still good at the school. It's going to be waiting there, ready to go for you guys next school year. And hopefully this thing gets over so that we can get back to our normal stuff. Okay, it's a few minutes later and I started thinking about this a little bit more. Having the bag sit on the windowsill, it's not really warming up the pool of water at the bottom as much as it probably would be if that were also in the sun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and prop it up on a box and then go ahead and tape it. That way that pool of water is getting all of the sunlight, warming up faster, and it should just speed up the process here more. Okay, we're coming back to our first experiment here with the bag in a window, the water cycle. Once again, remember we've got our water, which would represent like a lake or pond or the ocean, or even vegetation. Some of the water vapor that causes thunderstorms in Nevada is sucked out of vegetation, the grasses that grow in the spring. As it gets hotter, the sun beats the moisture that's inside those plants out, and then that evaporates. Okay, so we've got the condensation here, you can see the evaporation, and those condense into these little droplets, and that would be our precipitation, the water that comes back from the clouds, back from the sky, back down into our water table, into the ponds, the streams, the rivers, and eventually into reservoirs. So there's your whole water cycle right there. Hope that's been fun.